Hey everyone, it's Sammy from Push Square, and in today's video I want to talk about early access. Now, you may have seen the news this week that PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds is coming to the PlayStation 4, but because the game's still a long way away from being finished, the reveal's been met with a lot of skepticism among owners of Sony's system. And that's understandable. The likes of DayZ and H1Z1 were both announced for the PS4 back in the day, but are still nowhere to be found on the console. In fact, despite Sony saying back in 2014 that it was looking into allowing early access games on the PlayStation Store, it doesn't feel like that's happened, does it? The one exception has been Ark Survival Evolved, but who knows how many backhanders had to be exchanged to make that happen. But I think this all raises a really interesting question. Should early access games be allowed on the PlayStation Store at all? Obviously, this is something that Microsoft allows, and that means that the Xbox One could end up getting PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds a lot earlier than the PS4. When you consider that that game's already sold over 2 million copies, that could be a big coup for Sony's competitor. The question comes at an interesting time though, doesn't it? On the one hand, you've got people almost demanding early access games on the PS4, but on the other you've got big industry pundits like Jim Sterling heavily calling for curation. Games like Life of Black Tiger have become infamous for finding a slot on Sony's storefront, so do we really want to encourage the addition of unfinished games too? Look, early access isn't a bad thing, I don't think. As long as the product is clearly marked, then I personally don't have a problem with it, but it can be exploited. There are no shortage of games on Steam that have been sold with the promise of updates in mind, only for them to fold before they've evolved into a proper product. So I guess my question is, where do you stand on all of this? Because personally I'm not totally sure. I guess seeing as I've argued against curation on the PlayStation Store in the past, that I think I'm in favour of early access, but I also feel like that stance stops me from complaining about something like Mass Effect Andromeda, a game that clearly launched in a suboptimal state and is now relying on post-release updates to get it where it needs to be. But then, Mass Effect wasn't advertised as an early access game, was it? And PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds presumably would be, so perhaps that's the crucial difference here. It's a difficult one, isn't it? But please let me know what you think in the comments section below, and I'm actually going to run a poll on this on pushsquare.com, so make sure you check that out and vote there too. Thanks for watching.